Yeah, hi guys, good afternoon. In today's session, we'll discuss about Jenkins.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so what is Jenkins? And
Deepali,
guys, go
roti
on.
raki.
Okay, so we'll discuss about Jenkins. What are the different benefits? How to install? How to set up? What are the different features? Okay, so let me share my screen. Guys, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes, visual. It's visual.
Okay. Any idea what is Jenkins?
Jenkins is one of the tool of DevOps.
It may include
CI/CD tool.
Jenkins is also, I mean, we have a lot of tools in DevOps, but what is the purpose of Jenkins? Means we have used AWS, that was cloud. We have used Git, that was used for version control. Okay, but why do we use Jenkins?
It acts as a bridge between the development team and operation team.
We can deploy our source code.
We can deploy our source code. So Jenkins is an popular open source CI/CD tool. Okay, Jenkins is very popular open source CI/CD tool. We can see maximum around 70 to 80% companies are using Jenkins for CI/CD. Now, what do you mean by CI/CD?
continuous
CI
integration
means
deployment.
Continuous integration, continuous deployment.
continuous integration. CD means
Continuous
continuous
deployment.
deployment, and also we can call as continuous delivery. So we have two different meanings for CD. It can be continuous deployment, it can be continuous delivery. Okay, so apart from Jenkins, do we have any other tools available in the market?
AWS code commit build.
Alternative tools, we have AWS code build. Okay, we have GitHub Actions, we have GitLab, we have Bamboo. So these are the different, I mean, also we have Azure DevOps. Okay, so these are some alternative tools which are available in the market. Okay, so if you'll see this GitHub Actions, if I'll go to the repository, here you have something called actions. Can you see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, if I'll click here, then you can see it is asking us to create some workflows. The deployment, where you want to deploy, Amazon ECS or Google Kubernetes Engine or Terraform OpenShift. So we can select the default templates and we can customize as per our requirement. Okay, so we have this option which is available in GitHub for CI/CD. How to create and all, do not worry about this as of now. Okay, but just understand that we do have something called actions which can be used in order to create CI/CD pipelines. Now, what is the benefit of these CI/CD pipelines? Why do we need CI/CD pipeline? We know that CI means continuous integration, but what do you mean by continuous integration? How should we define this?
By upgrading anything like any application. Integration means adding something.
Okay. Okay. This is our laptop. which is used by developer. So what they are doing in this laptop, they are trying to develop some Java code. Okay, so this Java code is available in the local machine. So where this code will be stored?
Git.
So this code will be stored in the GitHub central repository. Means we are not storing in the local machines, right? So we need any central repository, that is GitHub in our case. Okay, in GitHub we have different branching strategies. I mean, we have release, master, feature, hotfix, right? So that's the different case again. Okay, and then once the code is being pushed to the GitHub, then we are going to integrate our CI/CD tool, whether it is Jenkins or whether it is GitHub Actions, whatever tool it is. We are going to integrate our GitHub with Jenkins. So what will happen whenever there is a change in the code or a new code has been pushed, then this code will be integrated with the Jenkins server. If it is a Java code, right, means if the application is Java, then we should have any build tool. What we should have? We should have one build tool. We have different build tools like Maven and Gradle. Okay, so we can use any of these build tools. So for Java based applications, Maven is widely used. Means if your source code is Java based one, this source code is stored in GitHub repository, and in this GitHub repository we are going to integrate with Jenkins. Means I will create one Jenkins job and I will tell my Jenkins that the source code is available in so and so repository. So what my Jenkins will do? In my Jenkins, I will integrate Maven. Means I will configure Maven because I need Maven to create one package. So what kind of packages? What kind of package we can create? We can create AAR, where, or. So we can create 3 different type of packages. But why do we need package? Why should I create a package? We have the source code, right? So I can directly use the source code and deploy. But Java based code, we need to compile the source code. Means that these source code should be compressed or bundled into a package. So that package will be used for the deployments. Means if you have seen this sample.var example, right? So if I'll open this, if I'm trying to click this, it is trying to download one sample.var package, right? So this package is something which has been created with the help of Maven. How to create and all, we'll talk about this at later point of time. But as of now, understand that there was some source code, and with the help of that source code, they have developed the sample.var package. And if I'll download this package, what will happen? My application will be available. For Windows, we have seen this, right? We have seen a lot of exe files. See, we have this Slack, Adobe Acrobat. Means this is one desktop application. So what they have did, they have compressed or packaged in terms of .exe. If I want to install this software, what I should do? If I'll double click here, then it will ask the steps to download the dependencies whichever is required to run my Adobe Acrobat software. So instead of providing the source code, what they have did, they have compressed the source code into a bundle. For Windows based application, we can see .exe extension bundles. Okay, for Java applications, I mean, this is a .NET application, I guess. For Java based applications, we can see var, jar or EAR packages. There is difference between these 3 packages. Okay, but still these 3 packages can be created. Okay, so now what my Jenkins is doing, my Jenkins is calling all the source code, and that source code is being compressed into a single package. Once the package is ready, where where should I store this package? Where is this package available? This package is available in the Jenkins server, right? Where is this package available?
Jenkins server.
Jenkins server. If suppose this Jenkins server is deleted or something went wrong, what will happen? I'm going to lose all the packages. Whatever packages we have built, I'm going to lose all the packages. In order to avoid such kind of cases, we use Artifactory repository. Artifactory repository. Okay, so one such example is Nexus, or we have JFrog. Means we have two different Artifactory repository. You can either use Nexus or JFrog. So what this Artifactory repository will do means this EAR, WAR, JAR, these packages are called as artifacts. Okay, these packages are called as artifacts. So what Jenkins will do, Jenkins will try to push these artifacts to any of this repository, and in this server we'll be having all our artifacts for different versions. For example, you have created one package 1.0, this will be stored here. Again, after some days, this developer, what he did, he has pushed the new code. That code has been built, a package has been created with version 1.1, and then this version will be, this package will be stored in Nexus or JFrog. So Nexus or JFrog is used for Artifactory repositories to store all our artifacts. Clear? This part is considered as continuous integration. Means whenever there is a change in the source code in GitHub repository, Jenkins is getting triggered or executed, and it is creating some packages, and these packages are stored in the Artifactory repository. This part is considered as continuous integration. Clear? Still confused?
Yes, clear.
So in Jenkins, what I will do, I will create some steps. Okay, in Jenkins, I will write down some steps. For example, this is what we are going to talk in interviews, guys. Okay, so first stage will be git clone, means to download the source code. There is no interview where they are not going to ask you about your CI/CD pipelines. Everyone will focus on CI/CD part. Can you explain your CI/CD process? How many stages are there? How many stages for continuous integration? How many stages for continuous deployment or delivery? This is what they are going to ask in interview. Okay, so remember these steps. This is what we are going to talk, and this is what we are going to execute as part of training. So first stage, okay, what's the first stage? Git clone. This stage, what it will do, it will try to download the source code. And then second stage, SonarQube integration. Why do we need SonarQube? To check the quality of code. Means whatever code the developers are trying to build, we should also make sure that the code is of minimum above 70% of the standards what they use for the development. Okay, any product, if you went to market to purchase any product, right? So first thing what you will check, you will check the quality, how it is built. So similarly for software development as well, quality of the code is very important. And how to check the quality of the code? With the help of SonarQube. Okay, and then Maven compilation. Compile the source code and create a package for us. Okay, so Maven, what it is doing, it is trying to compile the source code and create a package for us. And then Nexus Artifactory. Put the artifact in the central location. So these are 4 different steps what I am going to use for continuous integration. So what I will do, whenever I got one new application in our project, I will create some CI/CD stages. This is one-time activity, means I will create one pipeline to the specific source code, and whenever I want this source code, I mean there is a new feature updated, so I will not execute the commands manually. I'm not going to log into the server and build the code manually. So what I will do, I will go to the Jenkins server. I'll go to the Jenkins server and I will trigger the job. And that job, what it will do, it will trigger these different stages. Because already the code has been written. Same pipeline I can use multiple times. Means till, I mean, 2 years, 3 years, or till the end of the project. If you want to add some new features, right? So I can add to the existing pipeline only. If they want us to integrate JUnit test cases, for example, then I can add one more stage to my pipeline. That's how the CI/CD process will work. Okay. So now when we are talking about continuous integration, it means that our Jenkins job will execute 4 different stages whenever there is a change in the code. Change in the code in the sense there is a new feature updated. Then our Jenkins will execute different stages like SonarQube, Maven, Nexus. This part comes under continuous integration. This is how the flow will be happening. I mean, from your source code from the local machine to the central repository, and from continuous integration server, and then Artifactory. Clear?
Yes.
Guys, if you have any questions, let me know.
In this diagram, you haven't mentioned SonarQube.
Yeah, SonarQube will be part of the Jenkins only. Yeah. SonarQube will be part of Jenkins only. So there are a lot of tools what we are going to integrate within Jenkins. Okay, so while executing these different stages, right, so you will get to know, I mean, how this is actually working. As of now, we are just I mean, in terms of theoretical, we are understanding this, right? So once we start with the practical, then it will be really good for you guys to understand. Okay, then we have something called continuous deployment. Continuous deployment means this is going to deploy our application. So where are we going to deploy? Where are you going to deploy your application?
Application server.
Sorry, application server. Okay, so let me design something. App server. Example of app server is Tomcat, right? So where are we going to deploy our application from? Nexus, what we'll do, we'll try to deploy our application to Tomcat. Means our Jenkins, what it will do, it will push the artifacts as well as it will deploy to Tomcat. Means one new stage is getting created.
So, Sagar, like this Artifactory is an like backup of Jenkins.
Not Artifactory is not the backup of Jenkins. Artifactory location is only to store the artifacts. It is stored in the local. If you want any central page, then we can use any Artifactory solution. Even if you don't want to use this, then absolutely fine. But you should make sure that these artifacts are always taken as a backup.
Okay, got it.
So where are we going to deploy? This is going to deploy in the app server, that is Tomcat. Where in Tomcat?
Web apps.
Okay, so now where is our app server installed? EC2, right? Where is our app server installed? It is in EC2, or else our virtual machine, VM, physical data center. So it can be any location. It can be either VM, it can be EC2, or else it can be even Docker container. Even we have the Apache Tomcat container, right? We can also use this Docker container. Now where is this EC2 available? This is part of our cloud infrastructure or physical data centers. AWS cloud. Okay, again in this cloud, we have load balancer, we have lot of services. But end of the day, what we are going to do is we are going to deploy our packages in any of the application server. Understood?
Yes.
This part comes under continuous deployment, means once after the integration is done, then it is also deploying to the end environment. It can be either our Apache Tomcat server, it can be our Docker container of Apache Tomcat, or it can be a regular virtual machine. It can be any environment. In our case, since we have worked on AWS, right? So we are going to talk about AWS cloud. Clear? This will be asked for sure. What is the difference between CI and CD? And then we have something called continuous delivery. So what do you mean by continuous delivery? Continuous delivery means it will only check. Okay, what it will do? It will only check. Okay, it will only check if the end environment is ready or not. We are okay for deployment or not. But it will not do the deployment. It will only ensure that our end infrastructure, which is in AWS cloud or physical data centers, wherever it is, that is up and running, that is available. We can go for the deployment. We can go for the rollout. I mean, you will be commonly hearing a term called rollout. Rollout and rollback. These are two common terminologies what we use. And also we will be hearing about release. Okay, so these are the three terminologies what we are going to commonly hear in the project. Okay, so continuous delivery, what it is doing, it is only making sure that the end environment is ready, but it is not deploying the application. Okay, so who is going to deploy? That is part of continuous deployment. Understood the difference between CI and CD? Yes or no?
So continuous
Yes.
delivery means just it will check whether
It will only ensure the end environment is ready, means we have the infrastructure which can be used for the deployment.
okay, got it.
Okay, so now what do you mean by release?
Release and update, like we get them updates for our devices, right?
New feature or new application. So whatever new application or new feature which has been built, that is been released into the market, means that is been accessible to the end users. We generally hear about new movies are getting released, right? So release means that will be available for the public. So similarly, release means that is something which we are going to deploy on the production, which will be available to the end users. Okay, so what do you mean by rollout? Rollout means we are going for the deployment. We are ready for the deployment. Okay, rollback means if suppose you have deployed 1.1 version and your application is not working as expected. So what was the previous version? It was 1.0. So rollout means we are again moving back to the previous version because of the bugs which we have seen in the rollout version, that is 1.1. Okay, so rollback means we are always preferring to 1.0. So from where we are able to get these versions? From where you will see the different versions from this diagram. Where are we? Yeah, right. So in artifact, we are going to store our different versions. I can also store in Jenkins, but what will happen? It will consume lot of space, right? I don't want to burden my Jenkins server with lot of space, or else what will happen? The Jenkins performance will be slowed down. That's the reason we try to store in artifacts so that I can store different versions. Okay. So now let us check the installation part. So let me go to AWS. Guys, do you have any questions? Let me know. Till then, I will try to create one EC2.
Yeah, what is the main difference of CI and CD, Shabir? Means CI is nothing but creating Artifactory and CD is nothing but
Deploying the application onto the end environment.
okay. For source code testing, developer team needs to do, right? Why we need to work on this?
If
Sonar?
everything, I mean, if developers are doing everything, then what are we going to do? That depends upon project to project, company to company. Yes, as you said, I mean, see, even for Maven integration, even for SonarQube integration, we'll get all the steps from the development team. Means what are the different commands which needs to be executed. Why? Because they are someone who has developed the application, means they are aware of the dependencies. They know what needs to be installed, which command should we execute. So we will get all the steps from the development team. That's the reason we talk about one point in roles and responsibilities, right? So we try to communicate with the development team for the next releases. Yes or no?
Yes.
Means we will be in communication with them. We work along with them to make sure of the releases. If you got any particular source code, then you cannot simply create the CI/CD pipelines. You are not aware of the dependencies. You are not aware how this application is going to work for you. Okay, so we should communicate with them. We should get all the steps, but the integration part, right? I mean, installation of SonarQube, authentication of SonarQube, configuration of the centralized servers, that part we are going to do. They are not aware of that configurations. They are aware of the application configurations only. They are not aware how the server will behave. They are not aware what is web apps. They are not aware if something goes wrong with Tomcat, how to check. They only know that this jar package or var package should be deployed in Tomcat. That's it. Okay.
Okay. Can you please give me one word answer for CI/CD definition?
What do you mean by one more answer?
Means one more statement.
Let me do one thing. Let me first try to set up this. Okay. Once we create the pipelines, once we implement the process, I mean the stages, whatever I have spoke here, right? So once we implement these steps, then you will understand. Continuous integration, simply understand one thing, that I mean continuous integration is nothing but integrated integration of different tools. Maven, SonarQube, JUnit, Jacoco, we have a lot of tools. This will only make sure up to creating of the artifact. That's the job of continuous integration. In continuous deployment, we try to write the steps which are required for the deployment, means how the application should be deployed, whether it should be on the Kubernetes or ECS or EC2. Okay.
Okay.
So we have one EC2. Now I want to set up my Jenkins server. How can we do that? So we have two different ways. One is the traditional way and one is the containerized way. So first let us understand the traditional way. Then I will try to execute the containerized way. Then you will understand how easy Docker is. Okay. So in order to run Jenkins, the only prerequisite is to install Java. Okay, so we should have Java installed in our machines. Okay, as of now, if I'm trying to execute Java, if an version command not found because Java is not installed. Jenkins is a web application which has been developed by Java itself by using Java. Okay, means if suppose you want to run any Python application, okay, if you want to run any Python application in this particular machine, you should have the compiler. You should have Python installed in this machine. If you want to run .NET based application, then .NET framework should be installed. If you want to run Java based applications, then Java should be installed. If you want to run Apache server, then what needs to be installed?
Yeah, Python.
Why?
So it says like related to the
Because Tomcat is a Java based application, so Java runtime should be available in order to run Tomcat. Similarly for Jenkins, Jenkins is also a Java based application, so we should have Java in our machine. Okay, so first thing what I am trying to do is add required dependencies for the Jenkins package. So let me execute this command. This is for Amazon Linux 2 steps. Okay, so let me install JDK 11. Okay, let me use Java F1 version. Then we can see OpenJDK 11th version has been installed. Okay, 11.02. The latest is 17 as of now in the market, but 11 is okay for us to execute or run our Jenkins. Now once this is done, then we have one URL which will help us to download the package of Jenkins. Okay, so what this command did, this command is trying wget what it will do.
To download the packages from internet.
So we got our package, then we have the Jenkins key which should be used. Okay, something happened, and then let me try to execute or install Jenkins. Okay, setup has been successfully completed. Now if I'll check the status of Jenkins, this will be not active because we haven't started our Jenkins server. Okay, inactive. Let me start. Let me try to access Jenkins server. By default, it will be running on port number 8080. Okay, so let me try to access. Okay, so now if you see the status, Jenkins server is active and running. Okay, so here once we try to access on page number 8080, it is asking for some password. So where is this password available? This password is available in where lib Jenkins secrets initial password. So what is this where lib Jenkins? This is really important for everyone. This is the default path of our Jenkins server, means all the configurations related to Jenkins server are available in this particular location only. So now let me just go to this cd where lib Jenkins. If I'll do ll, here you can see a lot of different directories and files which are available. Okay, again here we have something called secrets. Let me go to that secrets. If I'll do ls, then we have something called initial admin password. So if I'll cat initial admin password, it will throw one output. This is one key, and if I'll paste this key in this password, continue. This is nothing but the admin password. Means by default you have the administrator access, and in order to access or log into that account, we need that key. Okay, anyone who has this key can be able to log into the admin account. Okay, so next, so once we have pasted that key, then it is asking for two different options: install suggested plugin, select plugins to install. So what is this plugin? Why should I need a plugin?
It extends the key to the different features, which is for many different.
Okay, so we have lot of plugins in Jenkins. For example, you want to integrate with Git. Okay, you want to integrate with Git. So no need to write any code. Just use that plugin, and that plugin will have all the dependencies which are required to authenticate or communicate with your server. Who has developed this one? This has been developed by the Jenkins users or the community by developers. So this plugin will help us to ease our task. Means just install and use as per your requirement. That's it. No need to write the code. That's why it's really popular, and we have lot of plugins in Jenkins. Okay, so in our case, I am going with suggested plugins because again I don't want to search for every plugin and install. So I will click this, so it will help me to install the most useful plugins which are required for our pipelines. Okay, so selected, so it will take a couple of seconds to load and to install these plugins. See, we have timestamper, folders, workspace cleanup, and Gradle. It is also installing Git plugin, email extension, mailer, matrix authorization, the pipeline plugins. So it is trying to set up few plugins for our regular use and which are very popular. Okay, then you can create the admin user. I mean, whatever user you want to create, you can create, or else skip and continue as admin. So I'm skipping this as of now because I don't want to create any user for now. I just want to use as admin user only. Save and finish. Start using Jenkins. So this is how the Jenkins dashboard will looks like. You have already used Jenkins, right? One task. There were two tasks in Docker. One was to create some sample job using Docker container. One was to create Docker image, I mean build our Docker image and push it to the repository by using Jenkins. That is still pending. Okay. So once we are covered with Jenkins, make sure that you are executing the task, because second task, I mean run or build the Docker image and push the Docker image to the registry is very important task. That is part of our pipeline. So do not ignore the task for sure. This one, let me show you this. This one, make sure you are completing this. Okay. So do not ignore this task. This will be asked in interview. So do not ignore this. This is how the pipelines will be created in real time as well. So now this is how the Jenkins dashboard will looks like. So now what will happen, for example, if anyone will be able to retrieve this password, then he can access my admin account, right? And my Jenkins is not secure. I mean, if anyone will get the password, then they can log in. So what I will do, I just want to change the password, means I don't want to use this key every time. So what I will do, I will try to change the password. Or else let me admin. We have something called configure. If I'll click here, then here we have something called password. So let me remove this, adding one password. That name is admin only. Admin. That's it. Save. Now it is asking for user. Username is admin. Password is also admin in my case. Sign in. Say now without this initial password key, I can log in. So what we have did, in order to secure our Jenkins server, we should delete this key. In order to secure our Jenkins server, make sure that this initial password file is deleted. If this file is been cracked by anyone else, then they can log in. So rm-rf initial password. So I have deleted this password file. That's it. This is not in use for me. I mean, I don't want to keep this file and I don't want to take any kind of risk. In order to secure my Jenkins server, what I have did, I have deleted the initial admin password. This is something what I need to do. Apart from this, we should create different users. Manage Jenkins. Okay. We have something called security. If I'll open the security. Okay, here we can make sure of the authentication, means how the login should be happening. Who can log in? For example, we have 10 members in team. For AWS, we have used IAM. For Jenkins, we can create different user roles. Okay, we have something called authorization. See, in authorization, we have metric-based security, project-based metrics authorization strategy. So we can use any of these strategies and secure our Jenkins server. This will only allow, or this will help us to restrict specific permissions to specific users or groups. Okay, this might be asked in interviews. I mean, I have seen this question in a couple of interviews, how to secure Jenkins server. So we should delete our password file and we should use project-based matrix plugins to create users. How to create users and all, we'll discuss it. So now we have got all the dashboard. So in dashboard, we have something called new item. What will happen? If I'll click new item, okay, here this option will help you to create one job. So in our case, I'm just creating my first job. Okay, I'm just using first job, and here we have different options: freestyle, pipeline, multi-configuration, folder, multi-branch, organizational folder. So which one should I use? So there are different jobs available in Jenkins. Out of the jobs, most popular jobs are freestyle, pipeline, and then multi-stage pipeline. So this will be asked in interviews. I mean, we have a lot of jobs. Out of them, these three are very popular. For now, I am going to use freestyle because this is a plugin based, means no need to write any code or any script. I can just select the options and configure my setup. Okay, so let me use freestyle job. Click on OK. Here we have different sections. On the left side, if you see general section, source code management, build triggers, build environment, build steps, post build actions. Description. So what is the description for your project? So if you have any description, then you can write first project. Okay, and then we have different options: discard old builds, GitHub project, and all. For now, ignore all these options. Do not worry about them. Okay, and then we have second stage, that is source code management. What do you mean by source code management?
Managing the source code.
So what is the example? We have Git and GitHub. We have Bitbucket. So in our case, already Git plugin has been installed. For example, you want to use Bitbucket. Okay, so your source code is stored in Bitbucket, not in GitHub URL. So what you will do? You will go here. You will go to the dashboard. You have something called Manage Jenkins. Okay, we have something called plugins. And here we have available plugin, means whatever plugin, installed plugin means these are the different plugins which has been already installed in our machine. So available plugin means what you want to configure. So I want Bitbucket because my source code management is Bitbucket, not Git. So if I select this plugin and if I click on install, so what will happen? It will install in my Jenkins server. Okay, so install has been done. So if I'll go to my previous window and if I'll refresh, reload, here you can see something called period. Earlier this option was not available. So whatever source code management you are using, go to plugins, search for that plugin, install that plugin. If you want to use this SSH server, just select, click on install, or else scroll down. Okay, here we have different options: install after restart, install. We have two different options. One is install without restart, one is install after restart. So if I select install after restart, what will happen? When the Jenkins server is restarted, at that point of time, this plugin will be installed. Wait, fine, that's okay. So you can go to the plugins and download the plugins always. So in our case, I don't want to use any source code management as well for now. Okay, so I don't have any code. I just want to run some. I just want to run some sample command. That's it. Okay, so then we have something called build trigger. How the build should be triggered means when the code has been pushed, at that time it should be triggered, or someone should manually build this, or do you want to set up any particular time to execute this job? Okay, these are all the different options which are available in build triggers. And then we have build environment, means what kind of build you are going to execute, whether it is a and whether it is a Maven, whether it is a Gradle. Okay, so and then we have something called build step, means which command you want to perform. So I will select build step. Here we have different options. See, we have shell command, we have Windows batch command, we have and we have Gradle, and also you can set up lot of. I mean, once you install the plugins, you can see a lot of features available. So for now, I want to use one shell window. Means I just want to execute one command. Hello, this is my first job. Scroll down and then post build actions. What do you mean by post build actions? Means once all these steps have been successfully completed, what you want to do. In our case, we generally want email notification as well as Slack notification. Means once the job is successful or once the job is failed, if someone has triggered this job, then this notification will be sent to the team. If anyone from my team is trying to trigger this job, then Slack, our Jenkins should send one message to my Slack. Okay, so that's how we can use post build actions. Let me click on save. So what I have just created one simple job with only one simple message. So this is my first job. Here if you'll see, not build, last success, not available, last failure, not available, last duration, not available. Why? Because I have created this job, but I haven't executed this yet. Okay, so all the details will be stored in var lib Jenkins, right? Sorry. cd var lib Jenkins. All the details will be stored in this particular directories only. Now here we can see one directory called jobs. If I open this LL, you can see first job. Means once I have created this job details have been stored in this location where var lib Jenkins and jobs. Means whatever I am trying to do on this server on the GUI, this is been reflecting or storing in this particular location. Let me just make this disable for 30 seconds. Okay, so now this is my first job. Now I want to trigger this job, means I want to execute this job. So how can we do that? Just click on this job, then we have something called build now. If I click here, then all the steps which has been added in this job will get triggered. See, something happened here. You can see green mark means success. First job has been triggered, means this was our first build. If I'll open this build, then I can see the output, means what happened when this job has been executed at so and so time, what happened, and this job has been triggered by the user called admin, because I'm the admin user. If you have any other users, then it will try to reflect that point. So if I'll click on console output, you can see, hello, this is my first job. This was the message what I have added in my Jenkins. And here you can see something called building in workspace, var lib Jenkins workspace first job. So what do you mean by workspace? This will be asked in interview. What is Jenkins workspace? If I'll open this, do you see something called workspace here? Workspace is available?
No.
No, right? Here if you see this location, var lib Jenkins workspace. Currently I'm in the same location, right? Previously here. Okay, 3D. Okay, now if I'll do LL, then I can see something called workspace which has been created just now, 7:58. If I'll see the date, the timing, 7:59. Go to workspace, LL, you can see something called first job, which has been created just now. If you go inside this job, nothing will be available because we haven't cloned any source code. Means workspace is the location where you can find all your Jenkins job. For example, you have created 100 jobs on Jenkins. All the 100 jobs details will be stored in this workspace only. If this workspace is deleted, then this job is also deleted. Okay, so whatever you are trying to perform on Jenkins graphical user interface will be stored in this workspace. Workspace is a location where you can find all the jobs. Whatever plugins we have installed, you can find this here. Whatever users you are trying to create, you can see this here. These jobs will also have the details of our job, but not the content. Okay, and then we have config.xml. This is the configuration file of Jenkins. And we have some XML files. These are the default dependencies which are required to run our Jenkins. Okay, and then we have something called node. Nodes means if you have one more server, slave machine. Okay, so this is how we can execute. Sorry, this is how we can execute our Jenkins job. Okay, now I want to clone my source code, means I want to execute this step. I want to execute this stage. So I got one email from my developer. He is telling that go to my repository, GitHub repository. In this repository, you have one application called hiring app. Okay, you have one application called hiring app. Okay, so this is the source code, Java based source code, which has been stored in central repository by our developer. So what developer said? Developer has shared this repository URL, means this URL, HTTPS URL, and he is asking us to create CI/CD pipeline. So what I will do, first stage, as part of my first stage, I want to clone my source code. Why should I clone the source code? In order to compile this one, I should have my source code downloaded, right? So where should my source code should be downloaded? In the Jenkins, because I'm using Jenkins to compile my source code. Okay, so I'm just clicking on new item. I'm creating one app, hiring app CI. So this is for continuous integration, freestyle. Okay. And then description, I'm just adding hiring app CI, and then this is for development environment. Means how many environments do we have?
Three environments.
Three. Development, UAT, production. Development, staging, production. Three, right? Or UAT. Staging or UAT, both are similar. Okay. So I am trying to make sure that this particular job is related to our development environment. Whatever changes we are trying to do here, this is for development. So what I will do, development, I'm just trying to add one description so that this will be easy for us to understand. Okay. And then where is our source code? Git. So what is the URL? I'm just trying to paste this URL. This is the URL which has been provided by the developer. Okay, now I can see something called failed to connect. So I'm ignoring this for now. Okay. So I don't want to add any build triggers, any steps. I will just click on save because I just want to test this, whether I am able to clone or not. Okay. And now I want to build my job, hiring app CI. If I'll click here, click on build now, what will happen? This job should clone my repository. This job should clone my repository. Here, my job has been failed. Okay, here if you see ls, we can see something called hiring app CI in our workspace. When this workspace got created, this workspace will only get created once you execute your first job of Jenkins. After executing your first job, then only this workspace will be created. Okay, so we have our hiring app CI. If I do ls, nothing is available. Why? Because our source code is not yet downloaded. Okay, So why? Because this has been failed. Okay, now you got one complaint from development team that you have set up the pipeline for him and you haven't tested. You have handed over to the developer, asking him that this is the URL. Just go to this URL, log in with your credentials and click on build now. Your job will be done. He is complaining that this job is getting failed. He is not aware why it is getting failed, right? So he's complaining that this job is getting failed. So what you will do now? First thing, whenever you get any complaint that so and so application is not working or so and so job is getting failed, first we need to get the details which job is not running. So he will inform that hiring app CI. Okay, open it. And then you have something called console output. If I'll click on the job, then we have something called console output. So at this particular location, you can see some logs are getting printed. This will be asked in interviews. If suppose your Jenkins job is not running, so what you will do? So we should always answer them that I will ask which particular repository, which particular job, which particular stage is getting failed, and then I will log into the Jenkins console. I will go to the console output and I will start reading the logs. After reading the logs, I will get one understanding what is happening, why this is not working. Without reading logs, you will not be able to understand. Okay, here I can see something that error cloning remote repo origin. Here you have some error report. So do not worry about these details, ignore them. Just focus on this error. Error cloning remote repo origin means it is trying to clone this URL, but this is not working. So what I am trying to do, I am trying to test it locally, means on the same Jenkins server, because this is executing in the Jenkins server, right? So I will log into my Jenkins server. Okay, so this is my Jenkins server. Let me just switch to root user. Okay, I will try to execute the git clone command. If it is working here, then it should also work on the Jenkins server. Hit enter. Command not found. Why? Because Jenkins is not installed. Git -f version command not found. Jenkins is not installed. So always make sure that if you are saying command not found error, then it means either you have executed wrong command or that software is not installed. If you go to the configuration again, okay, here you can see fail to connect remote repository because Git is not installed. So you should install Git. We have integrated Git with Jenkins, but we haven't installed Git in the local server, on the Jenkins server. Okay, -y install Git. Okay, completed. Now if I'll refresh this, let me remove this. Okay, now if I'm trying to paste the same URL, no error because Git is available. Okay, let me click on save. Now if I'll try to ask or rerun the same job build now, then job number 2 again failed. Why? Let me check the log again. Verify the repository. Can anyone help me out to understand why this is getting failed?
Branch, I need to mention branch.
Could not find any revision to build. Verify the repository and branch configuration means here.
We don't have the same branch in here.
Yeah, so here we have main branch. Here we have our code in the main branch. And if I'll go to my configuration of my Jenkins, configuration of the job, here we have the branch as master. So in our case, the code is in main branch. So you can specify from which branch the code should be triggered or pulled or cloned. Click on save. Now let me click on build now again. And let us see what will happen. See, this time the job is successfully done. If I'll open this, then you can see something happened, and here you can see something called success. And if I'll go to my repository, sorry, my server, cd where lib Jenkins, we have workspace. If I'll do ls, then we have hiring app CI, and if I'll do ls, then you can see all the source code has been downloaded in this repository. If you'll see my source code, see Docker file, Jenkins file CI/CD. Same files are downloaded here. Docker file, Jenkins file, see all the files are same. Okay, so what we have did, we were able to successfully execute one stage. Second stage is to execute SonarQube integration.
Hi, Sabir. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Okay, you have said that if developer is saying that the in my system that Git is not, I mean, we have received an error that this code is not deploying in my system. So now we have verified that the Git has not installed. Then again, I have to say the developer first you check the Git has been installed or not.
That's your job, because you are supposed to set up the pipelines, right? So what he want is, he just want to trigger this job and his task should be done.
Okay.
I will not check why this is getting failed. No one is interested in checking these failures and trying to fix this. This is our job, so we are supposed to fix this.
Okay.
If suppose you don't have the admin access for Jenkins and you are also using Jenkins as a end user, means you have got very limited access. Jenkins pipelines are being getting created by some other team. Then even you will not be doing anything. You don't have that access to do anything. You will also raise one ticket saying that this job is getting failed, please check.
Okay.
That's it. So no developer is interested in fixing these issues.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so now we have executed one stage. So remaining stages we'll discuss in next session. So for now, let me show you one more thing here. If I'll open this job configuration, okay, for example, in our case, this is a public repository, right? This is one public repository, so no credentials are used. If suppose this is a private repository, you can expect private repositories only in project. This will not be a public repositories. Everything will be private. See, this is my private repository. This is not accessible to anyone. For example, I want to clone this private repository, so you need to add the credentials in Jenkins. Means you should, we have these credentials, add Jenkins, or else go to manage Jenkins. You will find everything here. Under manage Jenkins, you will see a lot of options. Okay, you have something called credentials. Click here, click on global, add credentials. So here you have different type of credentials: GitHub app, SSH, secret file, secret test, certificate, username with password. So you can use any type of credentials as per your requirement and store the credentials. Okay, password, ID, and then description. Okay, so try to clone one private repository. That will be part of your task, so you are going to do that. Okay, apart from this, here first job configuration, let me, guys, just give me 10 more minutes. Okay, so I'm executing one more command. Sleep 30 means it should wait for 30 seconds. Say, this is my first job. And hiring app CI configuration, I'm adding one execute shell and I'm waiting for 50 seconds. Okay, and let me create one more job, new item. This will be my third job, freestyle. Okay, here I will just add one stage, I mean one step. Is to echo third job, means it will just print this message, that's it. So we have two jobs, one is holding our cursor for 30 seconds, one is for 50 seconds. Now focus here on build executors, this is very important. Okay, so first job, let me just open one more duplicate page, click on dashboard. Okay, I'm opening first job, I'm clicking on build now. This is build number 2. Okay, it is executing, right? So if you'll see this dashboard, okay, where this is getting executed, this is getting executed on executor number 2. Okay, now let me open hiring job, hiring app CI. Let me execute build now. See, this is executing on executor number 1. So let me open my third job, click on build now, where this should get executed. Third job has been executed successfully. Okay, let me just modify this, guys. Let me add sleep 30 to this as well. So what is happening here, if suppose you have multiple jobs and you have only 2 executors, so these executors are nothing, I mean these executors will be used to execute your job, I mean to run your job. Let me just make some changes. Okay, build now. Third job, again let me run my first hiring app and let me run my first job. So I have executed 3 jobs at same point of time. So what is happening, see, it is occupied third job and then hiring app CA, and first job is in waiting in queue. Did you understand anything related to executor? What is executor now?
Yeah, at a time we can do 2 builds. So we have 2 executors.
So executors are responsible to execute your jobs in Jenkins. If you have 2 executors, means at a time you can execute 2 jobs. For example, you have 100 jobs in your project, your application, I mean there are a lot of applications, you have a very big team, then you cannot really use 2 executors, right? So who is going to decide how many executors should be used? How are you going to decide? So if you go to manage Jenkins and system configuration, system, here you have something called number of executors, means if based upon your capacity of your EC2, if suppose it is a T2 X large and you have a applications 10 to 15 applications, then you can go for 5 executors. 5, 6, 7, how much you want, you can add. Okay, now if I'm trying to add 5 executors and click on save, and if I'll see, now we have 5 different executors. So at a time I can run 3 jobs. See, build now, build now, build now. So it is trying to run 3 different jobs at same point of time. Clear? Executors are used to execute your job. That's it. If you have 6 jobs and you want to run 6 jobs at the same time and you have 5 executors, then one job will be in the build queue. It will be waiting for the executor to get free. Once this is free or available, then it will get executed. That's something. And then if you'll go to manage Jenkins again, and then system. This is something related to your machine configurations. I mean, this for Jenkins server main configurations. Okay, so here we have, see, this is the default home directory of Jenkins, because everything is stored in this location only, right? Where lib Jenkins, and this is number of executors. And then we have something called labels. Labels means labels, and this is blank. What do you mean by label? And then we have something called usage. In usage, we have two different jobs. Use this node as much as possible. Only build jobs with label expressions matching this node. Okay, and this is your URL. And then we have some global properties. Means if you want to configure any environmental variables, then you can add here. Okay, so do not worry about this part. Ignore this for now. Focus here. What is label?
Tag.
For example, we have, I mean, there are 4 kids. Okay, there are 4 kids, and no one is having any name. If you call, oh children, listen. So who will turn up? Out of 4, who will come?
All.
Chances that 4 might come up. So if you'll have a dedicated name, for example, Sharun come here. So what will happen? I mean, we have lot of around 20 to 30% sitting in the same place, right? So only Sharul will be focused. So labels are nothing but a name for our server. If I'll call, I mean, if I have decided that this job should be executed on this server only, then I should configure one label. For example, in my case, I'm calling it as master because this is my master machine, right? I mean, this is my Jenkins master. I have only one machine here, and this is the master machine. So I'm labeling it as master. Okay, and then here I'm trying to define this usage. Means this master should only listen, only build jobs with label expressions matching this node. Means this master should only listen or execute the job which is matching the label expression. Means who are trying to call with this name. Click on save. Okay, so what change I have did? I have created one label. Label is nothing but one name what I am trying to define to my Jenkins machine. Whenever my job will call with that specific name, then only my job will be triggered. Or else master should not listen. Okay, so for example, hiring apps here. Let me open this. Click on build now. Let me open first job. Click on build now. Let me open third job. Click on build now. See what happened. Any job is getting executed.
No.
Why?
Because it's in main.
Because we have created our job, but we haven't specified our job to call or listen to the master. Check for master. I have made the changes on my server in the system configuration that this machine should be called with the name called master, and whoever is trying to call with the name called master, then only that job should only be built. Here if you'll see this, build jobs with label expressions matching this node. That is how I'm trying to restrict it. Why I want to configure this option means, if suppose you have different worker nodes, means in Jenkins we have one concept called master and slave. If you want to call or run a job on a specific machine, then you can use these options. Okay, so earlier what was available, use this node as much as possible, means if anyone is calling with the name called master, or if they are not calling, if this machine is free, then execute the job. Let me just make this change and see the update. See now what happens. See, hiring app CI is triggered. This both will also be triggered. See, all the jobs are getting executed because of this option. What I have saved means use this node as much as possible. In my case, I don't want to use this node as much as possible. I want to run my job only with the label expressions. Let me click on save. This will get executed first, and then the changes will be reflected. Okay. So if you want to cancel any job, you can click here. If you want to cancel, you can also cancel your job as well. Now let me execute one job, first job. Build now. It will be in the build queue. See, this is not executing. Why? Jenkins is reserved. If you see the message, if I'll open this, sorry. If you'll see this, Jenkins is reserved for jobs with matching label expressions waiting for 13 seconds. From last 13 seconds, it is waiting for one node machine where this job can be executed. First job, configuration. Now what I will tell my job. Okay, I am telling my job first job to execute this job on a specific machine, means restrict where this job project can be run. I will enable this option. Label, which label? So it should always run with on the machine or with the name called master only. See, label master matches one node. Permissions or other restricted provided by plugins may further reduce that list. Means as of now we are okay. Let me click on save. Once the changes are done, now see what happened. Once I have updated the changes, my first job was able to execute. That is how we can restrict our jobs to run on the specific machines if we have multiple servers. Clear?
Yes.
As a DevOps engineer, we have admin access or what, Shabir?
That depends. I mean, it's not mandatory. Even in my previous project, I didn't have access to Jenkins. I was just a user. I mean, read access only. I just used to log in, click job, build. That's it. Even if it is getting failed, I was not able to check the complete logs.
Okay.
But prior to that, I had the admin access. That depends upon the requirement and the role. But you should be aware of this process. I mean, how we are calling the labels, configurations, okay, and lot of other details, backups of your Jenkins server, because we doesn't know how our project will work and how our role will be decided. Labels, jobs, configuration, this will be asked in interviews. Okay, so this is one traditional way of configuring. Apart from this, one more way is by using Docker images. If you use Docker image, what will happen? No need to install or no need to execute these steps, right? No need to execute all these stages. You just need to download the container, run the container. That's it. To store all your data, you can use one volume, right? I think that's pretty much for today. In next sessions, we'll try to create some users and we'll try to finish our continuous integration job by using Freestyle only. I will be focusing on Freestyle for now. We'll be using pipeline in further sessions. Clear?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
So let me stop this recording.
Sabir bhai, this is Yusuf. I'm one down.
Yes.